Um, if you do go out and confront this person, are you going to be held accountable because it looks as though you escalated the situation? You could have stayed in, called 911, and not gone out there.
Okay, that will go into the reasonableness matrix as to, did you do everything reasonable here? But the law does protect you in the sense that if you want to protect your property, that you have a right to reasonably protect property. Escalating it with the intent to escalate it so that you have the ability to shoot someone, then we're going to look at it in a different way than if the situation that we talk here goes out, the flashlight gun says, hey, okay, I got you, drop my stuff and get on the ground. And then the guy drops stuff and starts coming towards him. That's going to be an entirely different situation. If you go out and say, okay, drop the stuff, and boom. That's a different type of situation, and that's not reasonable. It's going to be determined by first me and then 12 citizens that are going to make a decision as to whether your action was reasonable.
So it would go to trial?
It could go to trial. Yes.
Okay, so say he goes out into a shop and the guy does advance for him, he does shoot him, and you're investigating. Do you arrest him before you investigate, or you do a total investigation first and then decide?
Again, it depends on the situation. What you've just indicated, you've assumed facts that would indicate no. It looks like what you just said, went out to stop the person started to attack him, he used reasonable force. So we would say, okay, this looks like we're not going to be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he didn't have the right to self-defense right away, right up front. So we do the investigation to see, is this reasonable? Was this true? Was this contrived? What are the real facts that we have in this situation? If it's a situation in which we don't have very many facts and we got someone with a smoking gun over a body, and that person says, call my lawyer, and we got nothing else, that person's going to get arrested until we figure out what happened.
Can I add to that a little bit? So, first off, the answer to your question is, yes, we're going to investigate before we arrest, because we can't arrest until we've investigated to determine whether or not, at the minimum, there's probable cause to arrest. And as Mike has said, if you do something silly like drag the body back in, or tamper with the crime scene, or those kinds of things, then yeah, you're probably going to be there. But I will tell you, in my own experience as a detective, there have been many times when, there a number of occasions in my recollection when I was a detective, where someone had the right to use self-defense and we came out and we investigated and they did not go to jail. There have been other times when people murdered people and it took us a while to build the case, and they eventually went to jail, but they didn't go to jail right away. So the automatic is not to throw handcuffs on people and throw them in.
And there are people that, unfortunately, and Corey and I have seen that in the past, where telling the truth would set them free, but they are so used to lying that they come up with this fantastical story that they think is going to help them, and actually just harms the heck out of them, and it drags out the investigation.
What if you're elderly folks, which there are a lot of elderly folks up here, and you have a young man that's ripping them off, and he's advancing towards them, and you feel that danger, but you don't kill him, but you shoot him on the leg or something like that, just to kind of stop him? What's the law behind something like that?
Okay, is it reasonable to shoot this person? Or do you
If
have
you
that
feel
fear?
like, yeah. If
Okay,
you
it's whether you wound or whether you kill, it's the same analysis. The same analysis as to, are you in imminent fear of death?
So they're the
At this
same.
point, yeah.
Because as long as the gun's in play,
Yeah, it's like when we,
black and white.
and we just had an officer-involved shooting, and many times the press ask me, and they say, okay, how come the officer shot him 5, 6, 7, however many times? Because what is happening is the officers made that choice, whether it's a legitimate choice or a justifiable choice, will come about and we'll know later during the course of the investigation. But if he has that justification to stop the threat, is what officers do. They don't, except for the last officer-involved shooting, they don't shoot people in the hand.
We don't shoot people, we don't intentionally shoot people in the hand. It's not what we're trying to do.
Could a lot of this be prevented if people were to install alarm systems?
Yes.
I know for me, over my years of owning various homes, I always had an alarm system, paid maybe $30, $40 a month for monitoring service. I had my garage door linked up, my side gates plugged, so if anybody, got through, that alarm, the company was notified, called me, I said, yes, I'm being broken in. So can't that hinder,
That goes to what Corey was talking about, what's the law and what's practical. That's practical and it's tactical to try and be
Makes
proactive
sense.
and
Absolutely.
prevent that type of thing. And so that you're not being ripped off.
and for the people who have sheds, there's, not Bluetooth, but it's remote. You can put a wireless, $50 a month.
So-
It's that.
On that note, just, the study showed that you're 3 times less likely to be the victim of burglary if you have an alarm. If the alarm's audible, burglars are not gonna stand around while that thing's going off, because they don't know how long it's gonna take. It's a measure of prevention. Will it cure everything? Absolutely not, but it certainly helps. And in your case, if it goes off in the shed, number one, now you know. Number two, they're probably gonna call us for you, right? And number three, at least you'll be able to sneak up because he won't hear you coming.
Mainly, I just was concerned with can we use the 20-to-1 rule as a good idea for imminent danger? 20 paces, man with a knife, it'll take him 1 second to clear that distance of 20 paces. Should we just use that as a decent model to accept and say that that would be imminent danger?
You can't use, never can use a certain model. It's always going to be dependent upon that particular facts, because I can give you a real good example. Okay, so guy's 20 feet out, officer, I shot him because he was 20 feet within my 20-foot zone of danger. He had a knife. Okay, but you shot him out of his wheelchair. So, no, or, his prosthetic leg was left behind. Or this guy was 80 years old, and you think that he was going to run that distance, or he's very young, or something like that. So you've got to always have that factual situation.
What Mike is doing is very important, is he's taking into consideration all of the facts. You can't just rely upon one fact. He's taking into consideration all of the facts, and the more facts you have that would lead you to believe reasonably that your life is in danger, the more likely your actions are to be justified. Make sense?
Excellent.
Okay.
I have a question that, we've lived up here 7 years. We've had one small incident, but why now? Why is this the first time? Is this just getting started? Has crime increased up here? What's going on?
Staff guy, staff man.
No, because we care.
Didn't care before?
Hold on a minute. This is part of an initiative that's been going on for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, where we've been working with neighborhood watch groups throughout the entire county. And this neighborhood watch group came online. We've been looking for opportunities. This is the first time we've been here. We're now starting to get community involvement and community engagement. So it's not that this is new, it's been around, it's that we're just having more success with getting people to come and pay attention to what's going on.
We have a very dedicated.
This is our
sheriff.
5th meeting.
Thank you.
This is our 5th meeting that we've had in the last 5 months. And we put it in the Paradise Press, we put posters up all over town, Paradise and Magalia.
He had his kids out there with the sign.
We have a Facebook webpage for those who have a computer, and it's Magalia / Paradise Community Watch. And we Amanda and I started this up about 5 months ago, and we already have about 1,600 followers. So I'm trying to get as many people from all over just to come and be aware and have information like this that's vital to all of us. So I appreciate you guys being here.
Absolutely, and when Mike's done and I get up to question, I'm gonna tell you more about how we're doing this throughout the entire county and another way to keep involved, yeah, right there.
I wanted to ask about cameras, because I know a lot of people love all the surveillance cameras. I've seen where they caught the guys because of that, and I've seen where they had the truck, the license plate, they knew it was, and they still didn't get it because, well, we can't find them with your stuff, and if we don't catch them with your stuff, we can't arrest them. What do you think, are they worth it?
Well, if the camera shows them taking your stuff,
Well, no, just
Oh.
shows the truck,
shows the truck like driving by,
like in the driveway, and then it's gone.
well, it's whether or not we can put a case together. I mean, obviously, if we don't find your stuff, it's harder to prove, but if, we definitely would prefer to have the lead that the video provides, because without that, the chances of finding the guy with your stuff are significantly diminished.
Well, so in general, you would say they would help.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely, officers are finding,
Yeah.
this is, the body cam era that we're in, love body cams, it's just a matter of the expense, and all of Butte County law enforcement moving towards that, and that's a great tool.
And so should those cameras, if you only had a limited number, be placed just on the entry points or windows
I think it depends, it really depends on your place.
or?
The more likely to catch the path of least resistance when people are coming in, that I think just depends on the physical location that you're talking about.
Kind of the game trails that they're coming in on, as it were.
I'd like to make a comment on the person going outside to confront the person. You're going into an unknown situation. You don't know what's going on. You're safe in your house. The call police, you know it's your property, yeah, but you don't know if there's two other guys out there or if somebody else is waiting for you to come through that door.
And
And
another,
that's something you really need to watch before you go running out the door, you know, you're gonna
This
stop.
guy over here could be the lookout.
Right, exactly. Or that guy down there in the car could be, you never know.
and another thing that's important, that you do know one thing in that situation, you know there's gonna be a gun involved,
That's right.
because you're bringing it,
That's right.
right?
That's right. You're gonna stay inside your house
That's right.
because you know you're
And
safe in your house.
And if you're bringing it and they take it away from you, you could run the risk of it being used against you.
That too. Or his partner sitting outside waiting to cap you when you walk out the door, you know?
And let me kind of expand just a little bit. Expand on what Corey had talked about a little bit before, about the aspect of shooting someone. And having done over 30 officer-involved shooting type investigations, to a person, these officers are shaken to their core when they have had to take a human life. And I will never forget the very first officer-involved shooting investigation I did in 1982, when I was still a deputy DA. And it was an officer, it was an Orville police officer, that shot a guy in a downtown Orville store that was a shoplifter. Goes down to get the guy. The guy is now struggling with the officer. Officer backs up and then sees the guy go for a gun. Shoots the man. That absolutely justified, but it so affected that officer's psyche that he only lasted about another year on the force. It ate at him. And unfortunately, we weren't as good in getting officers to psychologists and counselors and so forth back then. 5 years later, that officer drove his truck in front of a train because he still had not gotten over
Yes, so far you've addressed the criminal aspect of it. What about civil? There you go.
it. Okay, civil. Civil, you are taking a chance, much more so than the criminal. Because remember what I said, that as a prosecutor, you got the protection of me having to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you didn't have the right to do self-defense. Civil, different burden of proof. As a prosecutor, beyond reasonable doubt, and all 12 jurors have to agree. Civil, 50% plus one, just a preponderance of the evidence, and only 9 jurors have to agree. So you are taking a substantial chance that something that I might say, oh boy, that was kind of close, but I can't bring it, or a criminal jury says not guilty. But then OJ goes before a civil jury, and they nail him. So be aware of that.
I don't mean to interrupt. One or two more questions, and then we're gonna have the sheriff talk. Trying to keep the meeting to about an hour or so, so. thank you for your
And
patience.
remember, attorney,
I just wanted to know if you have seen an uptick in crime over the last year, and if so, what types of crime?
that would be more.
Let me address that when I get up, okay?
Okay. And let me kind of end one going back to protecting yourself financially. Let me ask this question, and this is kind of the proactive thing, because once the scammers have taken your money, folks, kiss goodbye. I mean, we really don't have a lot of resources to go to Nigeria and find that prince that promised you all of that money. I've always told my investigators, we got enough money to get you there, I just don't have enough money to get you back. So that's a situation that we want to try and avoid, and use that golden rule. And how many here right now have their Social Security card with them in their wallet or in their purse? Okay? Now, do any of you that just raised your hand don't know your Social Security number? Okay. What I want you to do tonight is take that out and move it away from, you got the old wallet that's got all of that information in it, and if you got your Social Security, it's a gold mine for the scammers. Keep that away. Now, I can't do anything about your Medicare. I mean, that's just the way it is. But what I can do is make the suggestion is, keep it apart. Put it some other place other than in your purse. Put it in the bottom of your shoe or something like that. But if they steal that, then they've got the gold mine. You want to try and keep your Social Security card, because that's the key to the kingdom for many of these scammers. Keep it apart.
Okay, one more question, please.
You said earlier that if you suspect a scam, you hang up and call the number related to the scam. Does your office want to hear about them? Whether we
Both.
get scammed or not?
Yes, and either Corey's office or my office at 1-866-DA-FRAUD.
Right.
And what we'll have is someone is standing by the phone. Their voicemail is standing by the phone. But we'll get that information, because what we do is we want to track kind of the stuff that's going through. And if someone does answer and they say, oh, okay, let me check, what's your Social Security number, what's your, got the wrong number. So do that, and the sheriff also in his dispatch.
Absolutely, and ask our dispatcher to make a log report. You don't necessarily need a deputy to come out for that. But I want to know that, especially when you get these guys that are calling saying that they're from the sheriff's office and you got a warrant, you got to pay money. We want to know that, because then we're going to put that information out on our Facebook page. We're doing a media release. And in the case of the last guy, I had a deputy that we got the guy's number, and we called it and called it and called it. In the middle of the night, we were calling the number. I even called the number and asked him to call me at my desk because I wanted to talk to him. Eventually, he disconnected the number, so we do want to know those things.
Okay, folks, I just want to say thanks to our DA, Mike Ramsey, for hoping it. Our public officials here on their own time, so they come to us with all this information for us to share and tell people about.
Actually, it's your time. We get to sell.
I'm going to give the floor to the.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief because I'm not,
Yeah.
he's an attorney,
And so is he.
and he talks a lot more than I do, So a couple of things really quickly. First off, I really, really appreciate the fact that you all showed up here tonight. And this is an incredible thing. And I got to tell you that we are starting to get a movement in Butte County where neighborhood watch groups are starting to gain momentum, and they're starting to link up and connect with one another. And we're starting to really make a difference in a lot of communities, and I think we're starting that here, and we're on the verge of that here. So a little bit about that. Several years ago, a couple years ago, I started working with a neighborhood watch group in Oroville called the Greater Mount Ida Neighborhood Watch Group, and that really blew up. There's about 150 people that are involved in that whole thing, and we really started making a difference in those communities. And pretty soon, then we started getting one going in Gridley, and we had one in Durham, and then we had the Magalia Neighborhood Watch, Magalia Paradise Community Watch, and now we're getting one up in Concal. And all of these groups are starting to show up at meetings like this. We're starting to talk, we're starting to work together. Recently, about 2 months ago, we had our first annual Community Watch Leaders Summit, where I invited the leaders of each of these neighborhood watch programs to come to the Sheriff's Office. We provided them with some information. We linked them up so that they now know each other. And they're now starting to share information among themselves, because as you might imagine, criminals don't just stay in one place. They'll move around through the entire county. And we're starting to gather up information from them, and it's really starting to make a difference. We are about to launch the Nextdoor application, right? And that is, do you have the Nextdoor? Have you guys started that yet?
No, I've read into it.
Okay, ready to. So a number of our groups have an application called Nextdoor. You can sign up, and you can have small geographical areas that are all included, or larger, but it's a neighborhood watch program that allows you to communicate with your neighbors, allows us to put information out. And so as time goes on, my goal is to have large, active neighborhood watch groups throughout the entire county who are linked to each other and linked to us, so that we can all communicate with each other, okay? So that's a positive thing. The next thing I wanted to do real quickly is I wanted you to see the staff that I have here tonight. Guys, come on up, please. Miranda, come on up. Thank you, thank you. Don't be shy, come on, come on. Come on. And this is important because these are the people who are protecting your community. These are the guardians of your community. When I talk about having deputies on the ridge 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, these are the folks that are doing it. So first off, we have Deputy Deneen, and you work up here almost exclusively, correct? I do, 7 to 7. 7 to 7. And we have Deputy Tureen, Deneen and Tureen. We have Deputy Larson, one of our newest deputies, just cleared field training 2 weeks ago? Last week. Last week. Congratulations. And this is Lieutenant Derek Bell. And I just had the opportunity to promote Lieutenant Bell from Sergeant 3 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. And I'm excited about this because I was able to promote Lieutenant Bell and another Lieutenant, Lieutenant Boyd, Steve Boyd. And I'm going to assign both of these lieutenants to operate patrol. And so we're going to have a watch commander lieutenant on 7 days a week. They're going to be the people that are out here making sure that things are going well, along with our deputies. And if you've got a special problem or an issue or something like that, you call the Sheriff's Office. It's very likely that I'm going to have one of my lieutenants come out and start working with you to try to address the problem. And I got to tell you, if we work together, over time, we'll get this thing taken care of. I also have Miranda here. Miranda is my media liaison and crime prevention coordinator. You'll see her on TV from time to time because she's the person that puts out our media releases and talks to the press. But she's also the person who's going to be coordinating and monitoring our Nextdoor. So she'll put out information and things like that. But I wanted you to see these folks. I wanted you to get to know them. These are the people who are out on the front lines protecting your community. They're out here in the middle of the night when your 80 acres goes bumping tonight. Okay? Thank you for your story.
Thank you.
Can I finish up? Then I'll take some questions. Real quick, I want to get to what you were talking a moment ago, and that is there's some really exciting things going on at the Sheriff's Office that are going to address some of the issues that have been plaguing us for a while. So your question was, has there been an uptick in crime?
And what crimes?
Exactly. So, for those of you who've been here before, you've heard me talk about realignment, which was something that came about in October of 2011. Are you familiar with realignment?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So those of you who are not familiar, just very quickly, it shifted responsibilities from the state to the county. It resulted in a significant increase in the number of criminal defendants and prisoners that we've had to deal with. It's impacted my office and Mike's office significantly. And we've been working hard to deal with that. And after that went into effect, we saw an uptick in theft-related crimes. Auto theft was quite high. Other theft-related crimes also went up. And we were working to deal with that problem and address it. It was made more difficult by the fact that both Mike and I have suffered some significant staffing shortages over the course of the last couple of years. Then Proposition 47 was passed in November. You remember, you all know what that is? It was billed as the Safe Streets and Schools Act. Safe Neighborhoods and Schools Act. Unfortunately, what it did was it reduced the penalty for the possession of any drug, simple possession of any drug, from a felony to a misdemeanor. Folks, that took tools away from us in terms of dealing with offenders who are out there addicted to drugs, committing theft-related crimes. It also reduced the penalty for the theft of anything valued about $950 or less from a felony to a misdemeanor. That also took tools away from us. Since that's been in effect over the last 6 months or so, what we are seeing, and although we don't have all the data to support it, but we're starting to see the trend, is that there continues to be an uptick in theft-related crimes, but there's also been indication that there's an uptick in violent crimes, which is a new phenomenon because prior to that, violent crimes were down at a historic low. Now, how that plays out in Butte County, first off, I want to tell you, I really appreciate Mike because his comments tonight, I think help educate people. And as your sheriff, I'm going to tell you, I would never deny anybody their right to self-defense. I frankly wholeheartedly support it. I wholeheartedly support people having the right to carry concealed firearms, assuming that they are honest, law-abiding, mentally stable individuals who will take on that responsibility and be responsible in their possession and use of the firearm. And that's what I talked about is if you're going to have it, you better know how to use it and use it correctly. But we've issued here in Butte County probably about 2,500, 2,600 concealed weapons permits. That's how many we have out right now. Yes, that's how many we have out right now. Contrast that with LA County, which has 580. So we have quite a few more than this. But part of the problem that part of the problem that I've had is one, staffing levels. And so, we've been working hard to keep the Ridge staffed because it warrants it, it deserves the level of protection. But I need more deputies, and that has been a struggle, both recruiting and retaining them. I'm happy to report that just this last week, the Board of Supervisors provided a pay increase to my deputies so that I'm going to be in a better position to recruit deputies and fill the vacant positions that I have and keep the deputies that I have. Now I'm going to tell you that Mike is in the same boat that I was in, and my deputies go out and arrest them. Mike's got to be able to prosecute them so that we can keep them in jail. And so that's another issue that we're going to have to work on as we go forward. The other thing is, once Mike's done with prosecuting them, I need a place to keep them and address the underlying causes of criminality. What is the cause to do that? And so we need a different kind of jail in Butte County. We need a jail that meets the needs of our current inmate population brought to us as a result of realignment. And I'm happy to report to you that the Board of Supervisors has approved me submitting an application to the Board of State Community Corrections to bring $40 million of funding to Butte County so that we can build that addition. And I gotta tell you, there's a person in this room who's not here in his official capacity, but he's certainly part of this organization, who's been instrumental in helping me get that application done and will help us get that project. As a matter of fact, he always comments to me, Sheriff, I'm gonna get you that jail, and that's Grant Hunsinger right back there. So those are some exciting things that are going on in the Sheriff's Office. We've decided, our motto is fight forward. We're going to come through all this adversity. We're going to team with our community, and we're going to make a difference, but we have to do it together, and that's why I greatly appreciate it. So I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know it's late. I'll tell you what, if you've got questions for me so that I don't keep everybody, I'd be happy to stay a little longer and answer any questions that you might have. That way we can get the meeting going. Fair enough?
I agree.
All right. Very good.
And we'll be more than glad to kind of answer any additional questions.
We have a few things we'd like to say, Amanda.
Okay, so just for people that came in late, I just want to remind you that we have some community watch signs, some neighborhood watch signs over here. We have some shirts that we sell to kind of promote that you're out watching your community. We do have some self-defense lessons through a local karate dojo. The guy's giving us a great deal on them. They're $25 for an hour and a half self-defense lesson, which he only charges $45 for. We also have some cards over here for a lady that sells some damsel in defense, and those are tasers and pepper sprays and a bunch of other lovely, fun things that we can use to protect ourselves. I wanted to touch quick on community involvement. You brought up, why is it just now coming here? I've lived up here for many, many years and always felt that there is the support. It's just that a lot of people don't feel it's there. Every time I've called, I've got a response. Somebody has shown up, but I'm making the effort to pick up the phone and I'm calling. I see tons of postings on Facebook every day of this was stolen and this happened, but nobody calls the cops. How do they know they're needed if we're not calling them? So report. If you think it's suspicious, it probably is. Pick up the phone and call. You don't know what you should call? Send me an email. I have a paper that I can email you that tells you what suspicious activity is, what they look like, what the 911 wants to hear, what they want to report. Let me know. We have all of these forms available to you. I got them from Miranda. I get them from the Paradise Police Department. You want them? They're out there for you. The information is available. This is why we're trying to have our meetings, to bring this information to you so you know what to do with it. And also I would like to touch on our next meeting is going to be in October. And our next meeting is going to be on personal protection devices, as far as there's a lady here that does some concealed weapons information. They're going to bring some information forward. We have another gentleman that's going to bring some gun safety tips forward. The damsel in defense lady, we're going to talk about locking mailboxes, lights, alarm systems for your home, ways to protect yourself and keep yourself safe. We wanted to bring the law first, and now we're going to bring some ways. So please come to our next meeting. Invite people.
When we want to start in our neighborhood, do we talk to you guys?
You can talk to us. You can talk to Miranda. You can, Terry over here, I will show her where Ember will get the pieces of paper out. We have little sign-in sheets. And you, yes, come over here, we'll give you some paper, and you just sign in your name and information. I'll get back with you, help you get a meeting set up, get a neighborhood watch started. Let the county know that you have a neighborhood watch, so we're all in communication and everybody knows what's going on. Paradise PD has Carol Mello and the VIPs that go out, and every Wednesday, they meet with people and set up neighborhood watches in Paradise. And so if you live in Paradise and you want to start a neighborhood watch, call the police department. Let them know. Get a hold of us. We can help you. We have all our contact information on this paper over here. And again, thank you for coming.
I got one more thing to say. I got my son passing out some paperwork that has our information on our website on there. Everything we talk about here and all the paperwork that goes with it and numbers that you need are on our site.
And it just as a follow-up, tonight was about the law. And your next meeting will be about how it's
I got something to say. Excuse me, can I check
mentioned about you were wondering what to report, you're not sure. The STARS mans the substation here Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. You can come in there and ask us. If we don't have the answers, we have the dispatchers that we can call and get answers. So we're there to use it.
And we post our forums on our Facebook page. Oh, sorry.
But one more.
Just real quick, I neglected to mention STARS, and I apologize for that, because that's a great group, they're up here all the time, that's part of my organization, utilizing them.
Thank you, folks.
Our next meeting is October